Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, Cassie.
Hi, creepy people.
Hello.
Hey, are you new to our creepy corner of the world?
Me?
I was talking to the general public.
Okay.
Well, if you are, this is PNW Haunts and Homicides, where we chat about true crime, the paranormal, and all things spooky and creepy in the Pacific Northwest.
I was going to say where we're soups profesh.
I almost added the and history at the end of that.
I knew that was going to happen. One of us was going to do something weird there.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird.
Are you weird?
Yeah. No.
Is the PNW nasty?
I was trying to segue into my thing that you insist on. That I say every time.
Okay, I'll be quiet and let you say it.
I couldn't get there. I couldn't make it happen.
Okay, I'll let you get there.
It was fetch, and it wasn't there. It's PNW, if you're nasty.
I was trying to think of something else clever and I couldn't. Well, you know what else is kind of nasty? We do a tarot reading at the end of every episode for a little deeper insight into our topic. And it's not really nasty, but
could be.
Could be. I mean, I feel like kind of just like the word weird, where nasty is like kind of a good thing, you know?
Yeah, it can be.
So let's be nasty.
Okay.
Hey, do you guys remember something else nasty that we just talked about? It was a little man named Jake.
Jake
the Alligator Man. You remember him?
He was nasty.
So do you remember in that episode where I kind of hinted about the Cliff House in San Francisco, which is where Jake is supposedly from?
Yeah.
And I said I might talk about it in the future. Well, today it's the future. We have arrived to the future.
We are in the future.
Back to the future. So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to San Francisco. Okay. We're going to the Cliff House. And actually, there have been several different Cliff Houses in the same location.
Oh.
And this is the start of where I was looking this up and I was like, oh, there's a lot of tea here. We got to save this for its own episode.
I like that.
And there's actually some debate on how many Cliff Houses there were.
Oh.
They say 3 to 6. I think the general consensus is 3, but we'll talk about it. But I do want to read you a quote from outsidelands.org. And it says, quote, "It all comes down to how one defines structure. And at what point does it change so completely that it becomes a totally different building?"
I feel like what that reminds me of is it depends on what the definition of is.
Yeah, what is the definition of is?
I mean, just semantical nonsense, really, I feel. I don't know.
What is ising?
Ising.
Is I is? My brain hurts. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk about all the different buildings that have been in this location.
Okay.
Some people argue that a roadhouse from 1858 in a different location with a different name is the very first Cliff House. And yeah, it's not in the same location, completely different name, but I think some people think that it counts because it was called a Seal Rock House. And the Cliff House overlooks Seal Rocks, which is about a quarter mile away from where the Seal Rock House was.
Okay. I just feel like at a certain point, where's your tinfoil hat?
Yeah.
A little bit. I don't know.
I really don't know. I don't think this place is even on a cliff. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
So I think the consensus is that it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But one of the actual Cliff Houses did have a large neon sign that declared since 1858. So that's confusing, right?
Okay.
But it was not in that location. So there's a great debate.
Yeah. I would argue there's debate. I don't know how great it is.
The great debate of, what is it? Wait, Wait, the Great Debate of 1858.
1858.
So the real original Cliff House was built in 1863 in a new development in San Francisco called Land's End, which like sounds super
Oh,
magical.
yeah.
It was built as a resort for the wealthy.
Of course.
And yes, it's on an actual cliff.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't very big or easy to get to, so it was considered very exclusive.
Oh.
Therefore, it was very popular, especially with the elite families of the era, like,
Of course.
of course,
Of course.
like the Hearsts, the Stanfords, and the Crockers,
Wow.
which all sound familiar.
Yeah.
But I did not look them up, so I don't exactly know why they sound familiar.
Well, we're talking about
The Hearsts sound familiar
California.
to me.
Yeah.
Stanford's like the restaurant. Crocker, I don't
Or
know.
like the college.
Oh, right. I'm like the restaurant, Stanford's.
I don't even know if Stanford's, the restaurant, is in California. I don't know.
Think when I originally was looking, like I thought about the college. I don't know why I just said that. I'm hungry.
I know, me too.
And then Crocker, I was like, yeah, Betty Crocker.
Obviously.
So yeah, but I didn't go into like the history of the families. But I have a picture for you.
Okay.
So this is the first cliff house, and it is right on a cliff.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Well, you just wait. This isn't even the half of it. 5 years later, they expanded to 4 times its original size, leaving just a small portion of the original building exposed. So this is
Oh.
kind of where some of that debate comes in, is like how much of the original is actually left. Does it count
Right.
as the original?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think it's Greek mythology. There's like the ship that has been rebuilt time and I won't be able to remember the name of it for the life of me.
right.
But it like was repaired. And eventually it's like, is
All
it
of the
even
original parts are gone.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's kind of just a replica at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I will send you another picture
Ooh.
of the expanded version. So yeah, there you can see like a better view of it right on the cliff.
Okay, yeah. So that it's hard to tell just because of how the house is positioned in each of these photos.
Mhm.
It's very different perspective, so it's hard
Yeah.
to tell, but the second one does look quite a bit larger.
Yeah, and this one I didn't like search a ton for like original photos, but obviously back then there's not going to be like a ton of photos, but as we get going there's more and more photos, different views of
Cool.
the different houses that were there. But I love that one where you can see like the seal rocks.
Yeah. That is beautiful.
In the 1870s, the Cliff House started offering gambling and alcohol.
Scandal.
I know. And it became, quote, shabby and unrespectable. That's not what I said. That was a direct quote from the article.
Well, of course, you would never levy such an accusation.
I don't think gambling and alcohol are shabby and unrespectable, but apparently it drew in just a different crowd.
Riffraff.
Yeah. It was not like the elite family crowd anymore.
Yeah. I think gambling
Yeah.
maybe more so than, and maybe that's like kind of my own perception, but I
Yeah.
feel like to me, gambling has more of a negative connotation than alcohol. But
Yeah, right. I mean,
obviously.
in 1881, the Cliff House would get a new owner.
Mm.
And I didn't really talk about the original owners, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the second owner because it's very interesting. His name was Adolph Sutro. He was a Jewish German-born inventor who came to America and became a millionaire from mining silver in Nevada.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really interesting background.
A lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
And then he came to San Francisco to become an entrepreneur, real estate developer, and eventually the mayor.
Oh, wow. So like this guy's like, I mean, kind of a big deal.
Kind of, He wanted to reestablish the Cliff House as a family-friendly place. So he remodeled, he got new staff, and he started building a railroad to make it easier to get to.
Oh, well, as one does.
Yeah. if you want people to come, you got to make it easy for them.
Right. That's why we're going to plan to build a railroad right outside the pod lab. Because, if you
From my
build
house to
it,
yours.
right. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to just like get on a train and come to your house.
Wouldn't
like,
that be incredible?
not have to drive through all the stupid traffic. Ugh. In 1883, there was a mini castle-like addition to the structure that he made. And there's maybe some foreshadowing with that.
Wait, foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing. Doesn't that mean like
Yeah,
a
like
hint
hinting.
of like what's to come?
I know, but like foreshadowing what? Like
You don't know yet.
castle stuff? Like what about castles?
Kind of castle stuff.
Like, okay.
You have to wait. I'll tell you eventually. We'll get there. That's the point of foreshadowing. You're not supposed to know until you get there and you'll be like, oh.
I made a face that I looked at and said, that is a face that you would say, like, I hope it sticks that way. You know what I mean?
You made a face?
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah. I was like, to you. And I was like, oh my God, that's a face where moms say, like, careful, you don't want your face to stick that way.
That can be like the screenshot we use for the thumbnail.
Oh, great.
The Cliff House would encounter some bad luck. In 1887, a 98-foot schooner heading to Astoria, Oregon, loaded with kerosene, a cask of dynamite caps, and about 42 tons of black powder.
Oh my fuck.
That's the correct reaction.
Oh shit. This ends so poorly. There's no way this ends well.
Well, I'll tell you about it. So it hit the rocks right next to the Cliff House. The crew did abandon ship, so they all got off board. It was completely an abandoned ship.
Okay.
And a crowd who was naturally gawking at the wreckage, they had left. Because I don't know if everyone heard like what was in the boat or not, but everyone was watching, and then they all left except for two men who were still watching from the cliff's edge. Continuously being battered against the rocks, the ship fucking exploded. Like, it exploded.
Okay.
What?
Okay, I just have to add. Okay, and sorry, you can say that again if I cut you off in a weird spot. Okay, so did the ship crash down in like the rocky little island things that you see down in the water, like below the house?
I think so, because it
must
was like
have.
right
It didn't,
below
like-
the cliff.
Okay, so it didn't like crash into the cliff. I was like, just from like a.
Yeah, I think it crashed into the
okay.
rocks.
Okay.
Mhm. So the ship exploded, shooting a wall of flames and debris up the cliff. So it was close to the cliff. It catapulted those two men backward 200 feet. And it was said that you could hear this blast in San Jose, which is almost 42 miles away as the crow flies.
Oh my God.
Both men survived.
No, the fuck they did not.
They
Stop it.
had some serious injuries, but both of them thankfully survived. The cliff house was hit the worst, destroying the north wing, blowing out windows, blowing doors off hinges, and collapsing balconies.
Oh no.
And some nearby houses were also nearly torn apart. This is crazy.
That is insane.
But Sutro had everything repaired and returned to business as usual.
Well, I mean, sure. Eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until Christmas Day of 1894, so this happened in 1887. So 1894. So not like it
It's
was
like 7
repaired, I feel like
years.
pretty quickly and back
Wait.
to running.
1887 to 1894.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't repaired in 94. I was just kind of trying to get like that gap of time.
Okay. Sorry, I'm being so obnoxious.
No, you're not. I'm not exactly sure how long it took for them to repair, but I know that they were up and running for a couple of years before this happened. So anyway, back to Christmas Day, 1894.
Okay.
When a fire completely destroyed the original cliff house.
Okay, you guys, I'm starting to get like, I don't know, little little bit of a bad vibe from this place.
I I don't know. It doesn't give me like a bad vibe, but something, I mean, it keeps going. Okay, it keeps going.
I'm just saying it seems like something doesn't want it there.
Right. I
The
know.
rocks are like,
Like
bitch.
blowing shit up, and then it catches fire and burns down.
Seriously.
But Sutro, he would not be stopped. He soon had plans for a new cliff house. I mean, he's a millionaire,
Yeah,
right?
he's
Like,
like,
come on.
yeah.
2 years later, he would open a Victorian gingerbread style 8-story tall castle-like Hotel de Cliff House, complete with turrets, spires, and an observation tower. And this new build would only cost him $75,000, which back then was $2,836,348.21
I
today.
love how everything just like cost basically a nickel.
Yeah, right? I know. And also, just for context, $1 million back then is like 39 million now. So he was like a
Oh.
39 millionaire,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So like he was doing pretty okay-ish.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to send you 2 photos of this new Victorian gingerbread on a cliff
You're so
castle.
mean because I feel like this is going to hurt me.
It's so fucking cool. Like I cannot get over how cool this thing looks.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Isn't this so
It
cool?
literally looks like one of those European castles that's just like nestled into like the side of a cliff. Oh my God.
I love the one of all the people on the beach because you can kind of see just like how it's kind of like, it looks kind of
Yeah.
precariously positioned on the cliff.
Love that. Oh my God. All of the people with the horse-drawn carriages
I
in that
know.
second one. Again, very Bavarian vibe. It's
Yeah.
okay. This is like to look at this, like the texture and everything, like it looks very much like a photo, but then the castle itself looks like it's hand sketched into a photo.
Yeah, it does kind of. It had multiple dining areas, dancing and entertainment, parlors, bars, an art gallery, a gem exhibit, a photo gallery, panoramic views from large windows, and open air verandas. Gorge. And in the mist, I mean, it's San Francisco. There's some mist, fog.
Coastal castle.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
God.
Anyways.
Yes, coastal castle.
Mhm.
I want one. In the midst of all of this, Sutro was also building Sutro Baths north of the cliff house. He also had a neighborhood, Sutro Heights.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I didn't really add that. I just kind of threw that in. But
Yeah.
back to the Sutro Baths. A 3-acre public bathhouse with 6 saltwater swimming tanks of varying sizes, shapes, and water temperatures. It had slides, trapeze, and diving boards and accommodated 10,000 people.
Holy fucking shit.
It was huge.
I thought this was supposed to be so exclusive.
Well, not anymore.
Not the bathhouse.
Yeah,
at least.
not anymore.
Okay.
Ever since Sutro took it up, he really wanted like an environment where a ton of people could come.
Okay.
And he made the bathhouses like for kind of the locals too, so they can have
Mhm.
somewhere to swim and have fun. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can only take so much of the wealthy's money.
Right. Yes.
You know, if you open it up for larger consumption,
Mhm.
broader consumption, just, you know, then maybe you could be like, you know, double your money. And instead of $1 million equal to $39 million, you could be like a double millionaire.
And you could have
$78
million.
million.
39 plus 39. I don't know.
Dude, it's just insane to think about like the numbers. You know, when you do the
Yeah.
conversions, I find that so intriguing.
I do. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. That's why I always look it up because it's, especially when you're going back this far, like the
Mhm.
1800s. Like,
Yeah,
ooh.
there's just no like context for unless you do the conversion. It's just
These bathhouses are fucking, it's like,
We have buildings in a couple of kind of downtown industrial areas in Portland and in Oregon City that look very similar to this photo.
it does look very industrial, like it's housing grain or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or greenhouses.
Ooh, yeah. It does kind of look like a greenhouse a little bit.
I think once you see kind of the inside, it does have like greenhouse vibes. I think that was on purpose.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. The slide.
There it
They're
is.
like
Yeah.
piled up like 5 people deep.
Yeah. So funny. Okay. So don't look at any more of the photos.
But I want to.
No. Close that. So just 2 years after Sutro built this gorgeous Victorian gingerbread castle palace oasis, he passed away
No.
in 1898, and his properties went to his daughter, Emma.
Do we like her?
I think so. I think we
Okay.
like Emma. I'm not 100%. I mean, I don't know
Who
these
knows?
people. I don't know Emma's life, but
Yeah.
this cliff house would survive an earthquake in 1906, which is pretty impressive because I don't think there was a lot of earthquake-proof things back then.
No, can't imagine there would be.
But the next year, it would not survive a fire. Another cliff house burnt down. Yeah. This gorgeous building was only there 11 years. I know.
How
It's
do
so
you
sad.
burn a castle to the ground?
Things weren't fireproof.
Yeah, no,
A lot of things burned back then.
yeah. Well, and everything was. I mean, everything was
Yeah.
flammable.
Yeah.
Everything was like on the verge of explosion
Yeah.
constantly.
It is
seems like
kind of ironic though, because it is like right by the water.
yeah.
Yeah. So
You don't picture that being its demise.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it happened again.
No.
It will live on in infamy though, on the cover of Blue Oyster Cult's 1988 rock album Imaginos.
Stop it. What?
I have a photo for you.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? It's
Yeah.
it looks so spooky. Like I don't know if
It does.
I assume they added like the clouds and lightning, but I don't know. Maybe it was just like a stormy day.
That doesn't look like lightning to me.
It does.
That's
Oh, it
just
does look like a.
it's like a puffy cloud.
Yeah.
It's like shadows and stuff,
Yeah.
which is eerie in a different way, but like,
So cool. But Emma decided to rebuild the cliff house once again.
oh, okay. So,
A new concrete neoclassical style building opened in 1909. So they
Oh
really
my
freaking
God.
fly through building these buildings. Like it does
Yeah.
not take long.
which I feel like may speak to why they keep having to rebuild them.
Right. But at least this one's in concrete this time. So hopefully it's a little more flammable proof. Flame proof?
Flame proof. Or combustion proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
Listen.
But in case you didn't know what neoclassical style was, because I really didn't, it's columns, simple geometric forms, a grand scale, and ornamental details.
Ooh.
I have a photo for you.
Oh. Maybe I could be totally wrong, but this almost looks more to me like what I would think of as like being like mission style. Like the mission style has more of like almost a Spanish looking flair.
Yeah.
This, like the neoclassical, looks more like, I don't know, anglicized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it has like a very similar vibe in a way.
It
It's cool
does.
looking.
In 1936, so this was built in 1909. So, kind of like 30 years later, the Whitney brothers, who owned Playland at the Beach, an amusement park from 1920 to 1972.
Oh, wow.
They bought the Cliff House in 1936. I said that.
Okay.
And turned it from elegant dining and entertainment to an upscale roadhouse. I don't really know what that means, but that's what they said. And they
Yeah.
did remodel it several times. I want to show you a photo of the playhouse or what playland at the beach.
That kind of sounds like a coastal sex club. I'm not going to lie.
It was an amusement park, but it was very,
Potato, you know?
it was a very 1920s amusement park. Creepy clowns.
Oh my God.
They're right in the big photo they have on this article is just like this big head of a creepy clown. And shish kebab sandwiches for 99 cents.
Mm-hmm. What the fuck
That
is a
seems-
shish kebab sandwich?
I hope you take the stick out. I don't know.
That's a
Maybe
good point.
maybe
it
it's
was
shish
either.
kebab because
Or
there's more we can't.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Everything's 99 cents.
That seems like a lot for back then.
Well, this is clearly not a photo from 1936.
Yeah. It could have been like in the 70s. Yeah.
That feels a little bit more timely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some photos of the Cliff House. This one is from 1937.
Gimme. Oh, it looks like Pike Place.
This is the 1937 one. So
Mhm.
it did go through several remodels. They added this giant sign on top that says the Cliff House. All those freaking old cars are so cool.
Frickin' want it.
And then the one from 1955, that is like
Yes.
a totally 50s remodel. Like the vibe.
Absolutely.
They put like cursive Cliff House.
Well, and you
writing.
can definitely tell based on the cars
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it starts to look a little bit more modern, compared to 1936.
Yeah. They remodeled a ton.
Yeah.
And eventually, in 1977, the National Park Service took over the property, returning the building to its original neoclassical design. So they remodeled it back to that first one I showed you.
Wow.
And making it a part of the Golden Gate National Recreational Area.
That's cool.
And this is a view from like the ocean. So you can see a totally different view of the hotel. It's not as pretty as the Victorian gingerbread house.
It's not as pretty as literally any other iteration of it. It looks like
A normal building.
no, like it looks like a fucking office. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna rent space there to take people's passport photos.
Yeah, I know there's like no verandas. There's like a deck on the bottom, but I don't
Ew.
know.
I hate it.
It's not amazing.
No.
Definitely not like the olden days. So the Sutro Baths burned to the ground in 1966. Why is all this dude's shit burning to the ground? Like, what did he do? What did he do
I
to
don't
these
know.
buildings? But the ruins can still be seen. I
Oh,
sent
yeah.
you the one of it burning in 1966. You
Oh my
can
God,
see it
that is
right
the
next to the Cliff
most
House.
1966. Oh,
Yeah.
that is so heartbreaking.
I know. And then the second photo is what's left today.
Yeah, and you can see the Cliff House building
Mhm.
from. So I mean, it really is that close.
Right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so sad. That beautiful greenhouse oasis is now just a friggin' hole in the ground with some a little bit of concrete structures, brick, it looks like. I can't tell.
Yeah. I don't know if they were doing like some sort of like cement style bricks.
I know that the tanks were made of cement, like the pools. So the current day Cliff House closed during COVID and was unable to reopen with the same owners. It was supposed to reopen in 2024 with new ownership, but that has been delayed until at least 2025, which is this year. I'm not really sure. I didn't see any updates. I didn't look super hard, but
Honestly, it's fine because I don't want to stay there.
I don't want to go.
Anyway.
It's not a castle. This delay was due to unexpected repairs costing over $10 million. They wouldn't give an exact.
Boy.
They said it was over $10 million.
Uh-huh.
So that's gonna, put a damper on things a little bit. But this new place cannot be called the Cliff House.
Why?
The previous owners trademarked the name and even removed all of the Cliff House signage when they left. There might be negotiations happening to be able to call it the Cliff House, but I don't think they wanted to give up their business. I think they were pretty
Yeah.
sad about it. COVID was an unfortunate time.
Mhm.
Got a
Mhm.
lot of people. So it's kind of understandable that maybe they don't want to give
Well,
them the name, you know?
yeah. Well, and let's face it, if you have $10 million of repairs that need to be done, maybe we don't monkey with
Yeah.
naming rights. Like,
Yeah.
call it something the fuck else.
It is it's kind of sad though, because it's like
Yeah.
historically it's always been the Cliff House there on a cliff, so I
Yeah.
don't know. It's all kind of sad to me.
Yeah. You could come up with a name that would be like an homage.
Yeah.
You could call it like, I don't like this because Homestead has like a different,
Mm.
there's like other chains, but you could call it like Homestead at Cliffside, or you know
Or
what I
what
mean?
did
Like,
what did Sutro call his? He called it like House Day Cliff. What was it?
oh, Casa de Cliff.
Casa Casa de Cliff. I don't that wasn't it. What was it called?
Seen that.
Hotel de Cliff House is what he called it.
Ooh.
But yeah, that has Cliff House in the name too, so.
You could call it the Cliff House Inn. Like, they can't,
Mm.
like, Cliff House,
Yeah.
I'm sure they can't patent it that. Like, you would have to do like some sort of variation, I'm sure, but I feel
Yeah.
like you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
figure it out.
we'll see. Apparently it's supposed to open this year, but who knows? But you know what might make us feel a little better? If we go back and talk a little bit about Jake the Alligator Man. Because I literally cannot get enough of this dude.
Oh my
He is a
God.
ladies' man.
Yeah, I forgot that's how we got here.
And I really wanted to find out like where exactly he came from.
Okay.
So it was said that he was originally part of the collection at Whitney's Museum in San Francisco,
Okay.
which Whitney is the name of the brothers who bought the Cliff House.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. And there was a museum originally housed in the Sutro Baths. Then in the basement of the Cliff House,
Huh.
it was called Musée Mécanique,
Yeah.
which is like French. Is that French?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, it could be like Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Latin-based language.
This was not the Whitney's collection. It was owned by a different man, although I think maybe the Whitneys had some of their collection, their like personal collection stuff in here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not exactly clear, but
Interesting.
the Musée Mécanique part was a museum of over 300 antique coin-operated mechanical amusements.
Okay.
So arcade games, music boxes, player pianos, fortune tellers, motion pictures, peep shows,
Ooh.
animated dioramas, photo booths, and Laughing Sal, who came from the Playland Funhouse amusement park. So there was some of the Whitney connection, and I
Okay.
think that they were friends. I think the guy who owned this was friends with the Whitneys.
Okay.
He did move all the mechanical part of the museum. He moved to Pier 45 in 2002 and is still there today.
Oh.
So you can still visit the
So there's still like a
Musée
lot of
Mécanique.
Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't sure if this was going to go the way of like kind of old-timey, different amusement machines like that.
Yeah.
Or if it was going to go like kind of more of a Jay Leno vibe and it's just like a car museum.
Oh, no.
Mécanique?
Mechanic. Yeah, it kind of does sound like that. But no, it's all those fun, kind of like the Zoltar machine that I
Yes.
visited in Portland recently.
1,000% what I was picturing.
And I'm sending you a photo because I mentioned someone named Laughing Sal.
Yeah. Oh, dear God.
So on one side, you can see the Musée Mécanique entrance. I think that is at the Sutro Bathhouse.
Okay.
And then you can see on the other side, that's Laughing Sal.
Okay. She's not as scary as I thought.
You guys kind of have the same hair.
I mean, yeah. Slowly throughout recording, it is transforming.
I wanna see her in action. I don't quite know what she does, but she's got her hands out like this.
Sh I don't know what to do
Her
with my
mouth is
hands.
open. I'm sure she laughs.
Looks like she's missing a tooth currently.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's her natural state.
They spelled laughing with 2 Fs too, by the way, so
Uh, of course, of course.
so that's kind of some of the stuff you can encounter at Musée Mécanique, and I think she's still there at the
Okay.
current day one. So I was kind of wondering if maybe this was where Jake was housed. He's not
Yeah.
coin operated that I
Yeah.
know of.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What we never saw was his soft underbelly. And maybe that's where he's got the little coin slot.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know exactly where he keeps his key all the time either.
Yeah.
So there
That
might be a
sounds
slot somewhere
there's
in
a
that bitch.
pouch or a slot.
But when there was a museum at the Sutro Baths, they did have some rare and expensive collectibles. And I don't think
Mm.
that these were part of whoever owned the mechanics,
Okay.
uh,
Mechanique.
the mechanique. I think this was more of someone else's. I don't know. Like I couldn't figure
Okay.
it out really.
No, that makes
But I
sense.
think
I
this was
don't
maybe the Whitney's collection.
Okay. And I feel like in a saltwater bathhouse, maybe you don't store like your mechanical stuff.
Yeah, cuz I don't know if the bathhouses were closed when they put the museum in there or if it just
Yeah.
because it had like a bunch of room in it. So maybe they had like a
Mhm.
special spot for the museum with the pools. I'm not really sure. Or
Yeah.
if like they like drained all the pools and just had a museum in there.
That would seem so odd to me.
Yeah. I'm not
Huh.
100% sure. But we're going to
Website?
talk about some of the stuff that they did have. There were natural history exhibits, galleries of sculptures, paintings, and artifacts from Egypt, China, the Middle East, Mexico, and even Egyptian mummies. I did already say
Great.
Egypt, but that did
Yeah.
include mummies.
But like artifacts, that's different
Yeah.
than,
But it's interesting
mummies.
because you remember Jake supposedly was in the sand dunes of Pakistan.
Right.
So
Right.
they had stuff from the Middle East. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Some people actually think the cause of all of these fires could have been the Egyptian artifacts because there is some, things about people removing things from like Egyptian tombs and becoming cursed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think obviously we don't think Egyptian stuff is inherently like evil or anything.
Yes,
But
exactly.
if you're
Although, fuck around and find out.
yeah. I'm like remove Egyptian like mummies and what happens? I don't
I
know.
mean, like remove anyone from their intended resting place and then tell me who's evil
Right.
here.
It's funny you say that too. We'll come back. We'll circle back to that in a minute.
Okay. I'm going to leave my feet where they are, but I appreciate a warning if I need to reposition them.
Okay, maybe at the very end. Yeah, I'll let you know. So I'm still kind of speculating like where Jake came from. Did he come from maybe the amusement park? Because I'm sure they had some
Mhm.
sideshow type things. It reported that, he was involved in like carnivals and things. So it could have come from that.
Hmm.
Or possibly he was at the Cliff House gift shop, which opened by the Whitney brothers in 1939. And they claim to be
Hmm.
the largest gift shop in the world in the 40s and 50s. So that kind of has like the Marcia's Free Museum vibes, like this huge gift shop with just like a bunch of shit in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wanted to like nail down where exactly he came from, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he came from one of the Whitney's
Okay.
random weird collection. I really feel like maybe he was at the amusement park and in the
Yeah.
museum, and maybe he was at all of these places.
I mean, that also could be true, right? I mean, he
Yeah.
could have kind of been moved around. I feel like, if you find sort of some sort of a exhibition piece that seems like it does well,
Yeah.
that I mean,
And he's a
that's
looker too. I mean, who
I
wouldn't want to
mean,
put him all over the place?
right. Boy howdy. Let's go.
Okay, we're moving on from Jake. I'm done. I've given up. We're gonna put him in the past until
Okay.
my bonus.
Okay.
Because I have a full Patreon bonus about
Ah!
some of the things about Jake the Alligator Man because I literally can't stop.
I can't stop.
But we're going to be moving on. So, as an extension of Playland at the Beach, that amusement park we just talked about,
Oh, that place.
Camera Obscura was built on the observation deck of the Cliff House. Now on the National Register of Historic Places, Camera Obscura is a rare device based on a 15th century design by Leonardo da Vinci. It produces 360 degrees of spectacular live images of the Seal Rock area projected onto a giant parabolic disc in the center of the room.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. This was the invention that actually led to photography.
Ooh.
I mean, not this like building itself, but
Well,
like
sure.
the Leonardo da Vinci is the one it was based off
Mr.
of.
Fancy Pants.
So I'm going to read you a quote of what this is.
Tells me.
I didn't want to describe it in my own words.
Well, that's fair.
Quote, the device is built using a box or a room with a small hole that lets light in. The light from an outside image passes through the hole and is projected upside down, but in scale as it strikes the inside surface. Oftentimes, mirrors or reflective discs can be used to produce a right side up image. I'm like, sounds like a camera.
Like a camera.
Yeah.
And I also knew that. And I'm so glad that you just had that quote because I feel like that's exactly what I would have said.
And you can kind of see, I know the quality of the photo I sent you isn't great, but on the bottom right side is kind of that projected image of the rocks. And there's like a bunch of people standing around looking at it.
Yeah, it looks like a cult gathering.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, Cult of Seal Rock.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And it's interesting because at one point, I think it's the neoclassic that I was like, this makes me think of Mission. And then I was like, it also reminds me of the McMinimans, which of course takes us to Freemasons. And then it's not that far of a jump to cult.
Everything connects.
It really does. If you look for it, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not there,
you'll find it. Well, speaking of seal rocks, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So they were directly below the cliff house and were once home to hundreds of sea lions.
So cute.
That's why they're called seal rocks.
I mean, that makes sense.
Tons of people would come and watch them from the balcony of the cliff house.
Yeah.
And there was one sea lion there in particular that was quite famous.
Oh.
And his name was Ben Butler.
Stop it.
Named after a Civil War general by a famous newspaper publisher.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I was going to send you this picture of Seal Rock before I moved on to Ben Butler. So I'm going to send you that really quick so you can see all the seals in the rock because they're fat and fucking cute.
They're hilarious. They kind of make like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like throatier. Listen, I'm not going to capture it.
There is a big fatty. I don't know if that is Ben Butler or not on the rock, but you
Holy
can see the fatty there.
He makes the other guys look like little shrimps.
He's a big one.
No, he's like a lobster to their shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben Butler was known as the king of seals.
Well, that's him, obviously.
At a conservative 4,890 pounds. I don't know how they knew. Well,
seals weigh that much?
I guess so. That seems like a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's what they said in the article. So I don't know.
I mean, I think when they are actually like right off the coast like this, that makes sense. I don't think the seals that we have in a lot of Oregon, I don't think a lot of them, unless you're like actually down at the coast.
Yeah, they're pretty small.
I think they're smaller.
But this guy was really apparently real big. Sadly, Ben Butler passed away in 1895.
How do they know that?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh,
he was battling another male sea lion. I don't know how the heck the other guy won. I don't know if he was bigger or if maybe Ben just got too old.
He's older.
Maybe he like couldn't move because he was like Jabba the Hutt. Like
kind of
that's Jabba, right? Just like laying around. Benny was so beloved. They just couldn't let him go. So they
Oh.
stuffed him and displayed him
No.
at the Sutro Baths.
Oh, I don't care for that.
So they had some taxidermy there, though. That's like another kind of clue that maybe Jake did come from there.
Okay.
I'm sending you a
Great.
photo of the article about
Ugh.
Benny Boy.
Oh, he doesn't even look that big in this photo.
I mean, I don't know to scale. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but he doesn't look that big in that photo. But it was a
No.
huge place, so maybe that's like a really
Yeah.
big.
I feel like it just feels so morbid. Um, I mean, I think taxidermy in general has a morbid vibe, but for a creature like that size, for
Mhm.
that scale, it just feels, I don't know, that somehow feels very icky.
Yeah,
I feel like there are so many people that are doing like really incredible and interesting and very like artistic work with and in an ethical way,
yeah.
and not to say that this necessarily wasn't, because
He
obviously
died of natural
it sounds like they
causes.
witnessed the battle.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my God, it just an animal this large, it just feels, I don't
I
know.
think it's so sweet though that he was such like a staple. People were used to seeing him and they were like, well, we
Yeah.
can't just like leave his body out there. They went and got him and like,
Well, no, because it would stink up the whole
yeah.
coast for like a month.
I feel like he maybe didn't weigh that much. That seems like a crazy.
I have
I don't
follow-up
know.
questions.
I don't know.
Okay, should I look and see how much, like, is he a specific type of seal?
He's a
Okay,
San Francisco seal.
okay.
Sea lion.
A
Sea
San
seal?
Francisco treat.
He's a sea
Is
lion.
he a sea lion? Yeah, a seal and a sea lion are different because seals are
Yeah.
much smaller.
I
But
don't know why they called him the king of seals.
on average, adult male California sea lions in San Francisco weigh between 600 and 850 pounds.
Yeah, I feel like I could see him being like 1,000 pounds. Like if he was a
Yeah.
real big boy,
5,000
that
pounds
seems
is
like a
like
lot.
an elephant.
Yeah. So I don't know. Questionable sources.
The females weigh between 200 and 250.
Dang, they gonna get
So-
smooshed.
Yeah.
Oh
Anywhoozle.
gosh. Well, I have recently become addicted to TikTok.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
when I was talking about this beloved Benny, all I could think of is the new Justin Bieber song. Ayo, Benny. If I was with Selena, I would still be treating her better than you. Better than you. It's
Wow.
it's like a fake Justin Bieber song.
Oh, okay.
Because there's all this
well, that's
drama.
a relief.
There's all this drama with Justin and Selena and Benny and Haley. And I know all about it because
I
I'm
mean,
now addicted to TikTok.
It's been going on for so
For
long.
so long. But
Okay, hold
someone
on.
made this amazing song and I cannot get it out of my head. Ayo, Benny.
Dude, Justin Bieber is 31 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's time for there to not be drama. Like you're also a married man,
Right.
Like it's time for there to not be drama. Who knows? Some of that I feel like is just perpetuated by celebrity culture. And
I thought you were looking up the song though. I'm going to need you to look up the
No.
song. I totally got sidetracked because I'm like talking about Benny and then this song just gets in my head and
Benny.
it's going to be in there forever. You're welcome. But we still have a couple of things to talk about because,
Mhm.
we didn't even get to hauntings yet. We have one more interesting thing.
I don't know. Like, are we really like? Is it going to get better than this? I feel like we've kind of like.
Actually, no, it gets far worse
Oh,
from
great.
here on out. But
Okay,
I'm
cool.
jazzed about it.
Right.
So we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the Cliff House Suspension Bridge for a second. In the 1880s, a rope and wood bridge linked the
No.
Cliff House to one of the seal
No.
rocks.
Mm-mm. Nope.
It was about 25 to 30 feet above, depending on the tide, the sand or the shallow
Mm-mm.
water. In 1884, some dumbass boys
Oh my God.
rocked the bridge so hard that they flipped it upside down. And there were about 40 other people on the bridge, several of whom were seriously injured. Nobody died that I know of, but what the fuck, boys? Don't be flipping bridges.
Well, how the fuck would you know back then? Because, like, what did you take roll call before
Yeah.
everybody walked across the bridge? Fuck those
Yeah,
guys.
maybe. I don't
What a
know.
bunch of little punks.
I know. It's such dumb
God.
boys.
Also, I'm immediately out when you say suspension bridge.
Yeah, no, me too.
I
Totally.
don't there's probably suspension bridges that I have encountered in my real life, and that's fine. I didn't know that's what they were.
I have like nightmares about falling off of them.
Oh my God,
I don't know
seriously.
why, but I do. And it's terrifying.
It's because all of us here in the Pacific Northwest are trained to think about the big one.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe in a past life I was on the suspension bridge and I got flipped over, and that's why I feel the need to include it in this episode.
Or shirt.
Or maybe I was Benny, the what's his last name? Benny
Benny.
Blanco. Benny Butler.
Oh, right. That guy. Okay.
But they did not rebuild the suspension bridge, feeling that it was safer to watch the view from the cliff instead of like in the view, you know?
Yeah, they're like, because men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just not do that again.
Yeah.
Let's not even give them the opportunity. So
That's fair. I feel like, yeah.
okay, you ready for ghosties?
Okay, whatever.
There's some ghosties. Naturally, we have to talk about the hauntings, right? You can't forget to talk about the hauntings. Who would do that?
Yeah. It's not like this is just like a history podcast or anything. Whatever.
There is a spirit people say that they see called or named Natalie Harrison, who wandered the beaches below the cliff house waiting for her fiance to return from World War One.
Oh, okay.
Not World War II, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean.
But he sadly never came back to her.
Oh, no.
And people say she passed away of a broken heart.
Yeah.
And they still see her forlornly walking the coastline, forever waiting on her manses. But beware, if you are a man visiting this area, because she might lure you off the cliffs to your death.
Like Siren.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is true or if people just want to like villainize women.
Seems like it could be true.
But yeah, I could see it being true.
I don't know. Maybe just like don't be a man who's just like being a dick.
Don't follow a beautiful woman off a cliff.
Or do.
Just saying. Or do if you're that kind of man. Yeah.
I feel like we're at a point in our society where we need more men to like not follow women.
Yeah.
Or really follow them and follow them straight off a cliff.
Yep. Yeah. That is. Yeah. You make really good points.
I know.
See, it's not that scary because it's just men. The Paranormal Ghost Society, which is like that website I sent you, it was from them. They investigated there and caught an EVP of someone crying. So it could have been Natalie, or it could have been any of the 128 lives lost in the SS City of Rio de Janeiro shipwreck.
Well, for fuck's sake.
That's a long name for a ship.
Sure is. But I am just going to say, I realize you've told me her name, but as soon as you talk about a body of water and a Natalie, I'm just like, Natalie Wood.
Yeah, it was Natalie Harrison. Yeah, not Natalie Wood.
Yeah.
Many of the lives lost in the shipwreck were Chinese and Japanese immigrants who were asleep in their cabins when the wreck occurred.
Oh, no.
It was so devastating that it is considered the Titanic of the Golden Gate.
I was just going to say that's like, I mean, it's not on the same scale, but like it.
But this was like the biggest scale.
It's a shipwreck.
I know. Crazy,
It's
another Titanic reference in these, like, because we referenced it in the Jake episode and the Benson and
she everywhere.
Titanic is just all over the place.
It's like we may or may not have seen a movie all about it in like very formative years.
It's still my favorite movie ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's way up there for me.
Yeah.
It's like, if nothing else, it's just like porn for your like eye holes.
Yeah.
All of the
actual sex part or
Oh, no, I don't even care about that. No.
The hand.
No, it's just like, I mean, it's such a beautiful ship, all of the
Yeah, it
dresses, the
is. Yeah.
jewelry, my God, the way that they styled their hair. Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio, like, I guess, whatever.
I don't think this ship was like fancy necessarily, but it was
Sure.
just like the tragedy of losing
Yeah.
all of those people. And it
It's
was
more
the
of
biggest
a,
shipwreck in the area.
yeah,
So it's like,
more of like just a true like passenger ship
yeah,
rather
sad.
than a sailing caste system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I mean, all the Chinese and Japanese immigrants were, still down below in the lowest, kind of just like the Titanic.
Well, I mean, I guess that depends. Like, were there people up on?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
hard.
a lot
Yeah,
about the
I was
ship.
gonna say that's like one of those things where it's
Yeah.
like it's hard to know because you're like I would have to do a lot of digging to find out like was this like a racist and or
Mm,
socioeconomic situation of oppression or was this just a tragedy because everybody was asleep?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And there were like, I think like 200 people on the ship and 128 people died. So like the
I mean,
majority of
by and
people on
large.
board died. Yeah.
Roughly like 65% ish
I agree with
off
you,
the top of
math.
my head. Yeah.
Math. People also see a ghost ship. Do you remember that schooner that exploded?
What?
It was named the Parallel. I don't
I
think I
thought it was
said
a
that.
schooner.
Shut up. Scud up.
Shut up. You scuttlebutt.
Yeah. What's the scuttlebutt? Its name was the Parallel, and people say that they see it and then it just kind of vanishes before their
Huh.
eyes. So they see the ghost of the Parallel.
I mean, maybe it just sailed away. People are so
I
dramatic,
know, and all kind
you
of ships.
know?
I don't know if all ships kind of look the same or if this one was like really distinct.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, depending on when they're documenting the sighting,
Yeah,
ships of certain eras are very
that is true.
potentially very recognizable because not a lot of people are out sailing boats that look like the Nina Pinta, you know.
Yeah, Santa Maria. I do you in the bottom while you drink a sangria.
Mm.
In the ruins of the Sutro Baths, people hear voices and laughter when no one else is around.
No, thank you, please.
They see apparitions of people in old-timey bathing suits, which would be pretty cool to
Actually, that's
me.
kind of
Yeah.
cute. Like, I'm kind of here for that.
Here for the fashion of the
Yeah.
ghosts.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Some of whom might be a number of people who drowned on site, though. Or even a 16-year-old boy named Frank who fell headfirst into one of the empty concrete
No,
pools.
no, 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 no.
And he didn't survive.
Well, that doesn't sound like he drowned.
Nope, he did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hit his head in the concrete.
That's just, yeah.
But a number of other people did drown on site. I think there was like a man or again, older man and a woman that they talked about.
Yeah.
There is also a creepy tunnel at the baths. It was used to pump seawater into the pools.
Totally.
So nothing nefarious, no Shanghai.
I was just gonna say.
It was for water pumping,
Okay.
supposedly. There has, of course, been some vandalism in the tunnel. Things like inverted pentagrams, leading people to believe there's some sort of devil worshipping, satanic panic activity happening. Oh,
Well, I mean, it's like we already made the connection to the Freemasons and,
I just got to keep going with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
just,
Legend has it, if you light a candle in the tunnel, a woman will be summoned and she will throw the candle in the ocean.
I was like, am I the woman? And am I just hanging out?
I don't understand this. Like, why would you want to just summon this woman so she could throw your candle in the ocean?
Weird.
What if she's worried about it catching fire again? And she's like, get this fire out of here. I didn't think of that until just now. I don't know. I really feel like maybe she's like, get the fire out of here. Like
Yeah.
this place burned down. That's so disrespectful.
Literally everything they put here just like burns to the ground. Have you learned nothing?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then to the last part where you may have to put up your little
Okay, no, I
tootsies.
felt it coming.
This is something that you just love to hear. It's your favorite thing.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, you're going to love to hear this. It's your favorite thing.
You're a liar.
The area surrounding the Cliff House and Sutro Baths used to be the Golden Gate Cemetery. I scared a snort out of her. In the 1930s, they exhumed over 18,000 bodies and had them moved. But in a tale as old as fucking time, they did not manage to get everyone. And in 1993, they discovered hundreds more unmarked graves.
Jesus fucking Christ. And so we're so shocked that everything we build on, around. Oh,
that's why earlier when you were like, yeah, move someone from their resting place and like fuck around and find out. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's rude.
Yeah. So that happened. Gosh, yeah, and they moved these bodies in the 1930s, and they didn't find the rest of the unmarked graves until 1993. So 63 years.
Yes.
They've been hanging out underground, people walking on them and building on top of them, and wow, yeah. So
wowzers.
Well, I'm glad that we ended on that happy note. Want to talk about Jake the Alligator Man some more?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
wild.
There's a lot of things that could cause like this kind of cursey.
Yeah. They're like, okay, listen. Okay, so hear me out. What if we just built all of this shit where there's a bunch of dead people?
Yeah.
And like we'll get some of them, but like inevitably probably not going to find everyone. So like, but fuck it, let's do this.
And then also have like ancient artifacts and
we'll
mummies.
Just bring shit that doesn't belong here and doesn't want to be here. And honestly is kind of pissed that we've taken it from the place where it wants to be.
Yeah.
Or they want to be. And then we're just going to be like totally surprised when shit keeps burning down.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Hopefully it's over with. Hopefully, the new place, they're able to open it back up and I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. I wish them the best of luck. It is a gorgeous spot. Very pretty views.
Yeah.
Oh, I did forget to say there was an earthquake and all the sea lions moved. So that used to be like their permanent home, but now they only come back like certain times.
Seasonally.
Seasonally. So
okay.
So I don't know if the sea lions are like when they come around now, like nowadays.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So you might go and not even see seals at Seal Rock now.
Sea lions.
Yeah, sea lions. Sea lions at Seal Rock.
You won't see any of them. Seals or sea lions.
And I wonder where Ben Butler ended up. Like his stuffed carcass. I don't know where he ended up either. Hopefully he's in a museum somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to hunt him down.
Right. His sarcophagus.
If anyone knows where Benny is.
Benny.
Let me know.
See, this is how I know that you're like really into TikTok because you immediately got on like the trend.
TikTok ruined my brain.
Yeah. Well, brain rot is real.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for skincare tips. Okay. I wasn't even looking for drama and I found it and I'm sucked in.
Oh, it found you.
There's also a whole group chat thing going on. It's a whole thing. You know about the group chat drama? Let's go to Tarot. Okay. I'll fill her in on the drums. Tarot!
All right. She is spreading the deck. She is going to select our card. Her hair is a beautiful chestnut. Ironically, the flip was a little bit out of frame, but interesting. That kind of looks like the side of a cliff.
It does look like it's on a cliff. It's like a woodpecker on a tree, but totally looks like a cliff.
For the Four of Pentacles, our keywords are security, materialism, caution, possessiveness, greed, and creative blocks.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In some tarot decks, the Four of Pentacles features a man with four pentagrams attached to his body. You did talk
Ooh,
about the inverted pentagrams
I
in the tunnel.
did.
I don't
Interesting.
know, just something.
Pentagrams always reminds me of like money though, and Sutro was like a millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, Pentacles is definitely, I mean, that's a definite linkage. The image suggests his money and possessions define him.
Oh, okay. I think so. Someone who's making Sutro Baths and Sutro Heights and all of these
Yeah.
things.
Fours symbolize stability. Therefore, this card signifies financial security or seeking it,
Hmm.
which I feel like is there's a little bit of a linkage to multiple like eras of
Yeah.
this story with that.
And the new one too, I mean, even.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking. When the Four of Pentacles appears reversed, it suggests your conservative attitude and limited vision are causes of stagnation.
Hmm.
As a result, you encounter obstacles and delays that keep you from moving ahead.
Like
Interesting.
having over $10 million in repairs. And
Possibly. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay.
I love interesting things.
Oh, do you? You need to make changes to stop clinging to old ideas and tried and true methods, but you're afraid to take a risk.
Oh,
Interesting.
huh.
I feel like that could relate to maybe that current ownership.
Can you read that one more time?
hmm You need to make changes to stop clinging, like as if to a cliffside,
Oh,
to old ideas and tried and true methods, but you're afraid to take a risk.
yeah. That does kind of remind me of present day, but also like all of the
Mhm.
remodeling it went through and stuff.
Yeah.
And
In a reading about money, this card recommends against an investment or financial venture at this
oh,
time. I mean, this could be past, I mean,
yeah.
applicable to the past as
It
well.
could be because,
Like,
like, all of the money they sunk into however many
right.
buildings and remodels and everything is basically gone now.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
and they, like, totally returned all of the remodels back to, like, one of the originals, and yeah, interesting.
Kelsey.
Huh.
Sometimes it indicates imprudent spending or bad decisions regarding money or property.
Mm. Wow, okay. Yeah.
If the reading is about your job, the reversed four can mean you feel insecure in your position. Outsourcing, cutbacks, or competition may threaten your job. You may be passed over for promotion or fail because your skills are outdated or inadequate.
Oh. That kinda reminds me, not that, like, their skills were outdated and inadequate, but the people who were running it during COVID, and there
hmm
was a lot of drama about that I didn't include. They, like, didn't
hmm
renew their lease for reasons. There was a lot of drama about that,
Interesting.
so, yeah, I don't know.
In a reading about love, you may fear losing control in a relationship because you sense your power dwindling.
Like, waiting by the shore for your
Maybe
hu hu
your hubs,
I was trying to say husband, it wasn't her husband,
your
and then I was trying to say
husband.
lover, and then I was trying to
Yeah.
say hover.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Her fiancé.
Your fiance. You feel insecure. Perhaps you depend on your partner for
Oh.
financial support and feel trapped in the relationship, which I feel like also speaks to a certain era.
Mhm.
Okay, there's an extra excerpt. You've heard the saying, money is the root of all evil. But the actual quote is, love of money, greed, is the root of all kinds of evil.
Hmm.
In some tarot decks, this card is labeled greed. The Thoth tarot, however, calls it power and gives a more positive interpretation, a solid foundation on which you can create something more sound.
Huh.
Which is interesting because when we go back and sort of think about Aleister Crowley and sort of the differences between the two decks that are, more commonly used, it makes sense. He
Yeah.
comes from wealth and from power.
Mhm.
And so having sort of a more positive spin, that might make more sense.
That does make a lot of sense. And I feel like that's maybe how like Sutro would feel too. Like,
That's it.
well, that made me think of like having all of these like ancient artifacts that seems like kind of greedy. Like they're not for you. They are ancient
Right.
artifacts from a different culture and you're purchasing them, using your
Yeah.
power and stuff to have all of these things. And
It's not great.
that's how to get yourself cursed, man.
That's how you did get cursed.
So is an acorn woodpecker hoarding, saving, possessiveness.
Okay.
Like museum. This seems like museum status, hoarding, saving, possessiveness. It also says materialism, security, but also insecurity, boundaries. Boundaries is interesting. I don't know why. It just made me think of like a cliff, like doesn't really have a boundary.
I mean, doesn't it?
Like it does.
Has an edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. You're right.
Yeah.
The granary tree was beautiful. 1,001 acorns, all perfectly placed in perfectly sized alcoves. At sunset, they shone like drops of gold. At night, the woodpecker dreamed of the pattern of their inlay, recalling clearly the placement of every one. But he awoke feeling uneasy. As he surveyed his collection, his suspicions were confirmed. An empty space, a missing knot in the lattice that wrapped the oak. This would not do. The imperfection stuck in his mind like a splinter of dry bark. What if winter stretched longer than usual? And he needed one more acorn to last until the thaw. 1,001 acorns weren't enough to truly be secure. Now he thought, flying off to scrounge another. 1,002 sounds much better. So just like more of that.
Interesting.
Of like collecting more things.
It's almost like what I think of as being like a depression era mindset of like, you're saving rubber bands and shit because you're not going to go buy them. Like I have this one that came on my newspaper. Like
it makes me think of like how people like Sutro who are like a millionaire, if they were still like that, like hoarding and saving and.
Yeah. I mean, and more maybe coming from the mentality of like millionaires don't become millionaires because they are like wasteful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he was an inventor, so.
Okay. So this is going to be interesting because we haven't really used our Thoth deck or the book. I don't think we've used the book itself at all, but the Thoth deck, not a lot. Okay. So 4 of discs. Also power. So there's a couple of different, it's sort of divided into kind of subsections of keywords. And then we have interpretive and some other like iconography and like different links to other like esoteric things. It's it's interesting. So the kind of bullet of the card overall, it just says the power of stability. There's a subsection for instinct, and it says security, which is very reminiscent of that little PNW deck story that you've read. Fixation and stability.
Stability is interesting. Like before I lose the thought, just the fact that and then power like reminded me of like the explosion and then stability because it like ruined some of the building and I'm sure like it wasn't quite stable. Or
I mean, it's a building literally built on a cliff's edge. So,
but the big castle one did survive an earthquake, so it had to have been pretty stable
over time. Sort of that little like cliff's edge where it is. I'm sure just, I mean,
Mm.
it's a coastal area, and this is kind of a constant that we are, I think, aware of is that there's like erosion over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if that's part of like what is costing so much. I wonder if
that
there's
was
some
my first thought.
stability like
Yes.
problems.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
To me, that sounds like it would have to be related to some sort of structural
Yeah.
issues. But
Man.
I mean, that's speculation still at
Mhm.
this point. But okay, so our other sort of subsections of keywords are goal, light, shadow, and quality. For goal, we have completion of earthly power through condensation of strength. Condensation is an interesting word
Yeah.
in this context, I think.
Hmm.
For light, imperturbability, which feels like somebody who just keeps rebuilding,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I remain unperturbed.
And like the goals, like all of them had goals to rebuild and they all did
Mhm.
so many times.
Shadow says compulsivity, stubbornness, and stagnation.
Mm.
And quality, the strengthening and all dominating power. I think power, just in the context of like this deck and knowing kind of some of the historical overlap of the era between like literally like the creation of Thoth and some of that, the esotericism and then like the historical background of this story itself with Cliffside. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
it's like someone who ran for office.
Yeah.
He was the
He was
mayor.
mayor. Yeah.
Yeah. In the picture, the discs are portrayed as the four corner towers of a fortress, bird's eye perspective.
Ooh.
The discs themselves are square and thereby embody the fourness as a symbol of stability and earthly reality. That this is a living system is expressed by the symbols in the four towers, representing the four elements: water, fire, air, and earth.
Wow. All of that like happened in this story too.
Yeah. The motif shows the basic structure of the earthly city, the human living space, built in imitation of the divine Jerusalem.
Oh. Wow. Okay. Huh.
Energetically, the fortress symbolizes the condensed material energy anchored in its form. The power of the four, however, does not lie in the material itself, but rather in the manner in which we give it structure and meaning and how we place it in the center of our considerations.
Hmm.
On the negative side, it corresponds to the attempt of constructing one's own reality within the effects of the eternal and idolizing it.
Sutro. Like everything
Wow.
that he built was like his own personal like vision of, you
This
know?
next part is very much, it speaks to sort of like the Da Vinci of the camera
Oh,
obscura, and then also as an inventor.
yeah. I was gonna mention that too when you said like light and shadow and things, and it like
Mhm.
reminded me of the camera.
Yeah. On the positive side, however, it is in accordance with the higher insight that such models of thought and reality may be useful and helpful, but should never be allowed to lay claim to being the absolute truth. They should instead remain helpful models. The inner level of this card represents us with the wholeness of creation, which is interesting in the context of like baths
Yeah.
because that goes back to sort of, it has kind of a symbolic linkage with like being in the womb.
Mm. Wow, you're so esoteric today.
Apparently. Okay, so I'm just going to start that from the top so we can get the full. The inner level of this card presents us with the wholeness of creation and exploring the hidden sense of it is the task of humanity. Wow. Okay. Very esoteric. Like even all of the interpretations are, I mean, it's wow.
Whoever said this was more straightforward is
I mean, this book is, I mean, at least helping to interpret, but wow.
To interpret the interpretations.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. The mandala-like arrangement of a fourfold structure is always an expression for the whole, and therefore a stimulus for the observer to examine how the four towers of his being have grown, where he has overdone it, and which side has been neglected. In the professional sphere, the four signifies stability, structure, clarity, order, and consistency. It is thereby an indication of phases of consolidation in which what has been achieved is also secured. Additionally, it indicates successful periods of work where plans are realized and positions are expanded.
Expanded?
Mm-hmm.
They did that. I'm like, I found a word. I know something that it's saying.
Yeah. We might want to really condense the parts of the thoth that we share, just like of this recording, but
yeah.
Also in the area of emotions, it shows stability and thereby refers to the possibility of having a solid, lasting bond, clarifying confused circumstances in a relationship, or strengthening an existing relationship. This card, however, is also related to a warning against excessive security capable of crushing a lively partnership. So there's a lot of little like kind of cultural and other like esoteric linkage. I'm just using that like broadly, but this card in relation to astrology, it's Sun in Capricorn.
Okay.
Very pragmatic. So stability and security, that all makes sense. Image, the fortress. So, I mean, a castle on a cliffside. Holy shit.
Or just like the fact that it's talking about a building is like so fitting. Just like any building.
It has keywords, status, rulership, and earthly power. And I saved the best for last. Analogy. Daedalus, forefather of the Greek sculptors and architects.
Oh, that's
built
cool.
The labyrinth for King Minos.
I didn't include it, but there is a rock labyrinth that Land's End that you can like hike to.
Oh.
And it's like a little like labyrinth in the rocks. Just
that's
like
so cool.
It's not like big bushes or anything. You can like see the path, but that's so interesting.
Yeah. So that's all I have for you. I say that as if that wasn't like the longest
esoteric bullshit you've ever spewed.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, but it is definitely far more dense. It's not nearly as accessible as a lot of the interpretations that we find in our other guidebooks.
Yes. So don't worry. We won't be like using that all the time solely that because I can't fucking understand half that shit.
I do think it's interesting though when it specifically is a card that like in our main guidebook it says there's kind of a alternate.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. There's some added context or insight there potentially.
The labyrinth was so interesting because I was like, oh, I want to include that, but it's just
a little kind of a blurb.
I included a lot of things.
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot going on.
But there's like a ton of hiking in the area. So I want to like go visit and find the little labyrinth. And
yeah.
I should show you after this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think do the thing.
Yeah, let's go eat. I feel like every time we're like, let's go eat because we're starving.
Yeah, basically.
Have a creepy ass day.
We'll see you next Tuesday. You'll be here. We'll be here. It's a whole thing.
Unless you're lost in, Justin, Selena, Benny, Haley drama on TikTok.
Oh, I thought you were going to say lost in a labyrinth.
Or lost in a labyrinth.
Sure. You could be lost in a labyrinth. And they're just playing that on the loudspeakers, which I feel like.
Yo, Benny.
No. Get out of my head. No.
Never.
I can't. No. I'm done. I'm done with the brain rot for today. So goodbye.
Bye.